Hello and welcome back to a Flick Pick live show late night edition. It's been a few weeks and I missed you guys. And by the way, if you didn't know, I mentioned this in the last live show, but if you don't want to look at my stupid, hideous, disgusting, disfigured face, you can simply download and listen to the audio version of these live shows now. I did put a link down below. It should go to all your favorite podcast platforms. My personal favorite is Spotify. So if you want to go there, check out the podcast, give it a rating. It does help. 5 out of 5. Or whatever you feel is appropriate and deserved. But anyway, the link is down below if you want to listen to the podcast, download it, listen to it later. I have the last few episodes on there right now, so check it out if you want to. But without further ado, I'm going to crack open this delicious caffeinated beverage. Oh, did you hear that? That is the sound of freedom and energy all in one. And let me sip on it now. Oh, that is so good. Oh, it's like gasoline and horse piss with a little bit of battery acid in there and some flavoring to top it off. And I wouldn't have it any other way. How are you guys doing? What's new? Happy Memorial Day. We have 53 minutes of it left. And I just wanted to pop in and say hello and talk about some movies, eat some popcorn, and do some other weird shit. But on the last live show, I was having a few technical difficulties, as per usual, because, you know, what would a Flick Pick live show be if something didn't fuck up, right? And I had a few questions on here that didn't show up, but now they did, and I'm going to get to all the questions tonight. But first, let me get through some of these questions from last week that I missed, but not because of any fault of my own. No. Just software, computers, the Matrix. It's just glitchy and non-functional. So the last one we had was from Akai, who says, "Hey, John, nice Yellowstone gear." Because on the last live show, I was in fact wearing a denim jacket, a cheap cowboy hat, and talking about Yellowstone Season 5 starring Kevin Costner, which I have not seen, but I've heard great things. Anyway, his question was, do you think Guardians of the Galaxy was a good ending for the trilogy? I thought it was pretty good. I think the ending to the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, it gave me hope in Marvel that I have not had in a very long time. After watching Thor: Love and Thunder, I thought, how could this get any worse? And then we got Ant-Man Quantumania, which I wouldn't say is technically worse. It's just on the same level of filler content from Marvel, where it looks like everyone's standing in front of a green screen, and they do things happen, but that's really the synopsis of those movies at this point. But Guardians of the Galaxy, it felt like a real movie. It encapsulated all of those characters perfectly and gave them the farewell that I thought was somewhat bittersweet, but at the same time, realistic. That's how people really separate at some point in life. They all go their own direction. They do their own thing. So yeah, I rather enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It actually made me feel something. And if a film can make you feel something, it at least did its overall job. You know, it served a purpose. So I did enjoy it. It's a movie I'd watch again on Blu-ray at some point. John Grizzly Stomach Doctor. That's interesting. I like that. Hey, John. The new place is looking great. I'm looking forward to Transformers and not Fast 10. What summer blockbusters are you most excited about? Do you think Michael Keaton can revive the abysmal state that DC is currently in? Well, DC's simply just putting the last few nails in the coffin until rebooting everything and starting fresh. But I've heard great things about The Flash, and give me Michael Keaton any day as Batman. That is something I never thought we would see return. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. It's coming back, man, and that's what I'm most excited for with The Flash. And by the way, I did talk to a few people who I'm very jealous of who did see early screeners of The Flash. I live in Indiana, not a major metropolis by any sorts. Pretty much a place you don't want to go. But anyway, so I didn't get an early screening of it in my neck of the woods, but I've heard great things, man. I'm looking forward to it. Do I think Keaton can revise DC? I don't know about revise it or what word am I looking for? Give it a breath of fresh air. I don't know if he can do that, but he can certainly make a Flash movie better. just, okay, we got the Flash. That's cool. Oh, Michael Keaton's back as Batman. Okay, I want to see it now. That's sort of what Keaton did for me with the Flash. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. And speaking of Fast X, I did see that last night. If you guys want to talk about Fast and Furious, number 10, which is a weird thing I never thought I would say, and a thing that I never wanted to say, but here we are now. This is proof that we live in a simulation. We're on Fast and Furious 10. Did you hear what I said? But anyway, yeah, that exists. I saw that. And we got, hey, Eric, how's it going? Hey, Percival. Hey, JFlix, how's it going, guys? Here's a question from Eric Wonder. I was just about to watch Beast with Idris Elba, but I guess that can wait. Have you seen that one? Yeah, I watched the first act of the movie, and I could immediately tell this wasn't going to be a well-written, cleverly paced thriller that I was hoping it could and should be. It just looked like straight to Netflix, watch this at 3 o'clock in the morning kind of content to me. I just wasn't into it. I just couldn't get into it. So that's as far as I got in Beast. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. The next one comes from In Holmes. John, you should come out with some horny goat weed pills and call them flick effing pills. Listen, I'm not opposed to anything, right? If they're effective, I'll try it. And I'll promote it. Put my face on the bottle. Let's go. Your screaming face logo on the bottle would top it all off. You know what? I would buy those just to see what happens. I'd add a little extra caffeine to them just to put my own little spin on them, a little bit of flavor, make them taste like Sour Patch Kids or something. Fidel Ray says, John, I'm not opposed to the concept of a multiverse, but in big budget media, it just feels like a lazy way to explain things. Tug on nostalgia and gimmicky rather than narratively driven. There are exceptions like Everything Everywhere or Spider-Verse. Yeah, I think a multiverse works in with different concepts in different movies. Not everything needs to be a multiverse. You know, I think I feel like Fast and Furious is eventually going to go that direction. They're going to live in the multiverse of Transformers. At this point, Transformers are actually more realistic than Dom Toretto driving around in his car. I never thought we'd get there. That's another thing that just is blowing my hair back now. Dom Toretto essentially is like, I don't know. When it comes to a car, that's sort of like Captain America's version of a shield. The amazing things that Captain America can do with his shield, his vibranium shield that can define all logic and rules of physical limitations, that's what Dom Toretto can do in a muscle car. As long as he has the power of his crucifix that he wears around his tank top and his muscle car, and he has a little family, that's the power he needs. Those are his infinity stones. When he has all of those things, he's invincible. Jay Flick says, explore the differences between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Really, the main difference for me was Better Call Saul simply had more levity, and it was less frustrating to watch at times. And the other thing is, I love flawed characters. I love likable criminals when it comes to movies and television shows, or even real life for that matter. And the thing about Walter White was, there are moments where I like Walter White, but really at the core of him, he is an unlikable, flawed dude who at times makes himself so unlikable, you're like, okay, I'm sort of rooting for everyone else in the series besides the lead. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just enjoyed watching Saul Goodman on screen. I just think he was slightly more captivating, to me, he's one of those characters that I enjoy. I just think he was a brilliantly well-written, crooked character, but at the same time, he was a smart dude. You know what it is? I like characters who have a good heart, but they will always justify the means by the ends. As long as the outcome is how it should be, it doesn't matter how we quite got there, does it? No. All right. By the way, I'm just trying to catch up on last week's questions, and so just give me a few seconds here. I'm gonna get to everything else that you guys are typing right now in the chat. Just hang on. Just hang on a second. We're gonna get there. Lots of good questions to come. Don't worry. JDS says, what do you think about Clockwork Orange, speaking of sociopaths? And quote your favorite line from it. Mine is the opening monologue. Oh man, I'm trying to think of my favorite line. I've only seen Clockwork Orange twice, and the last time I watched it was probably a decade ago. It's not one of those rewatchable films for me. Just putting it out there. It's sort of one of those movies you almost, for me, I could watch once in my lifetime, just purely from a cinematic respect that you should see every Stanley Kubrick film. But I don't know. I don't even know what. I can't even remember the line. I would just screw it up if I try to say it. I don't know. I love Sociopath, so if that tells you anything about me. InHome says, John, I have not seen any of those films, Hook, Broken Arrow, Over the Top, 8mm, Face Off, and Rocky. Shall I punish myself and slap my hand? Absolutely. 3 slaps, and then I will forgive your sins against humanity. Will H says, John, one of your first live shows was under my YouTube recommendations, and the first 10 minutes was nothing but raunchy sex questions while broadcasting from your bedroom. It was funny stuff. You've come a long way with live streams, man. Haha. Well, yes. The biggest advancement I would like to say since that was I'm no longer in my bedroom, but I thank you for it. Rubber Rock says, hey, John, did you ever get around to watching my movie, Neon? No worries if you've been busy. I have not, man. I have been busy. I'm so sorry. I do want to watch your documentary about the porn industry, I assure you. Rubber Rock also says, rank my top movies. Back to the Future, 10 Things I Hate About You, Signs, Scream, and The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight and The Back to the Future would be at the top of that list, and I like both for very different reasons. But I think, objectively speaking, I almost think Back to the Future is more of a perfect movie than The Dark Knight is. I really do. But could I interchange those? Which one would be my favorite movie depending on the day of the week or whatever mood I'm in? Yeah, I could. 10 Things I Hate About You I've seen once, not in love with it. Signs I've seen a few times. I don't love it. I get why people do. Scream is a great meta horror film. But yeah, so I think I answered it. I don't know if I ranked it, but I did my best to give you my quick thoughts on them. Claudia Rowajan. Oh yeah, I watched the Italian Job remake again, and it made me remember when Jason Statham was actually in good movies. After The Bank Job, he just stopped caring. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think he just was starting to be cast in every generic action movie that hit DVD that went straight to the $5 bin at Walmart. So really, I think it was just he was on cruise control, getting a paycheck, and there's nothing wrong with that. The guy's been in a handful of great movies, but yeah, he sort of just plays the generic badass guy in an action movie nowadays. But I did enjoy him in the new Fast X movie, even though he's more or less just sort of had a glorified cameo by the end of the movie. Claudio Roguejohn also says, what's the best voice you can do? Well, I'll tell you the worst I can do, and it's definitely my Morgan Freeman. And the next question also comes from Claudio, and he says, my name is Morgan Freeman. So anyway, he didn't say that, but I did, unfortunately. So you're basically turning into a dad, John. All you need is the kids to complete it. No, thank you. We'll wait a few years on that. I have a lawnmower to hold me over. And I just power washed my house today, which was really therapeutic and fun. I quite enjoyed washing all the filth off my house. These are the things I do, guys. I mow my yard, I power wash my house, and I tell little kids to get off my lawn. I'm old man Clint Eastwood. I know what I am. Night King of One says, John, I assure you the bounty is worth the $3 rental. Yeah, I do want to watch The Bounty with Mel Gibson, an 1800s naval movie on a ship in the ocean. Just take me there, please. I will get around to watching it. All right, guys. Those cover all the questions just from last week that I was not allowed to see because my software sucks and it hates me. But now we can talk about all the new stuff you guys want to talk about. And thank you guys for joining me. And we got everybody in here right now. Last 5 movies I watched. I actually put out a tweet the other day, the last 5 flicks I watched. I actually sort of don't remember what they were. They're on that tweet, though. But I have been watching the documentary on Max, not HBO Max, Max, the Jared Fogle documentary. You know who Jared Fogle is, that predator against children who just happened to be the Subway spokesman for the better part of a decade. I started watching that. That's some creepy, seedy stuff. The last movie I watched was Fast X, which I watched last night. And I did shoot a quick in the theater video. I'm going to probably crap out tomorrow morning. Okay, here we go. Let's jump into the questions. Let's start here. How far behind will we be? Okay, about 12 minutes behind. No worries. All right, here we go, guys. Hold on to your butts. Cody Gill says, favorite movie of the year so far and most anticipated. Man, favorite movie of the year, I'm not quite sure just yet. I'm not sure. There's a few, but I'm not sure. And to be honest with you, I think there's only like 2 I loved. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 would probably be in my top 3, though. What else came out this year? My brain has just coagulated and doesn't... The fluids in my brain have stopped moving of late. I'm trying to think what else came out. Like, I saw The Little Mermaid and Fast X. That was the last 2 movies I've seen in the theater. Oh, and like Super Mario Bros. Movie exists. So... I don't know if there's anything I love necessarily thus far this year. There's a few movies I'm hoping to love. There's like a movie based on AI that's a futuristic movie with a high concept, and I like things like that. It's called The Creator, which comes out at, I think, August, September. And I saw the new trailer for Oppenheimer, whatever you want to call it. That looked pretty intense. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping Christopher Nolan will redeem himself for the last few movies that... well, more or less sort of let me down, but the next one comes from, where are we at here? Oh, here we go. Craig Thompson says, name your top 3 Michael Keaton movies. Is it weird? I almost want to put Mr. Mom in there. You know, I would combine his Batman movies as one. So that would be one of them. I really enjoy Beetlejuice. And I'm trying to think like of a third Michael Keaton movie that I just absolutely love. I know there's probably a random movie I'm not thinking of. Like I said, I like Mr. Mom quite a bit. That was always like a pinnacle of the 80s for me. I'm trying to think of another Michael Keaton movie. Let's go to the early 90s. Man, I know someone's probably going to say like Birdman or something like that, but I'm sure there's like a do you remember the Michael Keaton movie called Multiplicity where he cloned himself? And every time he cloned himself, it was just a different variation of his personality heightened into that cloned person. Not the greatest movie, but I sort of enjoy it. Yeah, someone said Multiplicity right there. Yeah, Jack Frost is an okay movie to watch around Christmas time, in my opinion. Yeah, he was in Jackie Brown. Good role, but I wouldn't say that's a Michael Keaton movie. Someone just reminded me that Shazam 2 came out. Ugh. All right, the next one comes from John Burkett, who says, John, if you could eat any fictional food from a movie, what would it be? That is the easiest answer I could ever give you. Let's just go to the movie Hook, right? Not enough people appreciate it, but I do. And when they're all sitting down, all the Lost Boys are sitting at that table, and they open up all those steamy pots of food, and then they use their imaginations, or at least Robin Williams does, and you see all these like blue and yellow foods in this big turkey just steaming, looking all juicy and sexy. And yes, I just described a turkey as sexy. That to me is the feast I would want to sit out and eat every day for the rest of my life. I want to go there and eat. That's what Thanksgiving dinner should look like. All right. And I want Rufio to be there too. And then we have an amazing food fight and it'll be great. And then I cut a coconut in half with a sword. Anyway, the next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. Keaton's back is going to be severely injured after carrying the entire Flash movie on his back. Ooh, that's a good one. By the way, how's it going, Carter Lovejoy? Yeah, man, I think he's making up for everything that Ezra Miller did because Michael Keaton's such a likable dude. And you're like, okay, Ezra Miller sort of kidnapped people and has assault charges for choking women. But you know what? Michael Keaton is so likable that almost overshadows it. Almost. But yeah, I can't wait to see it, man. Kevin Diaz says, last 5 movies you watched, mine are Face Off, Days of Thunder, Troy, Director's Cut. The Director's Cut of Troy is superior. Very long, but superior. Top Gun Maverick and Batman 89. Yeah, I named 2 of the last movies I saw. I'm sure I watched a few other movies, and I just can't remember what I watched. I really can't remember the last 5 movies I watched. It would probably take me an hour and a half to sit there, and I would have to have a deep meditation session to remember the last 5 movies I watched. I've watched 5 movies. I just can't recall what they were. Elliot Cecil says, John, there's this little sweet number I've been talking to, and she seemed interested for a good bit. But now she seems distant. Should I move on? Well, what do you have to lose if she's moving on? I think you need to reapproach the situation and shoot your shot, right? Use the biggest form of ammo you have and shoot that shot, man. Whatever it is. You have to, her attention has swayed away. You have to capture that again. Something amazing. Something cool. Just throw it out, man. You got to move. Got to go quick. All right? The dating game is crazy these days. You have to understand, every woman that you talk to is probably talking to 57 other dudes. I'm just putting it out there. So you got to stand out. All right. The next one comes from Dustin Rich. Thoughts on The Neon Demon, John? I haven't watched it. I've heard mixed things. I do want to watch it. I like the director. Well, more or less, I like one of his movies. I will watch it eventually. When I'm ready for a pretentious art house movie with a great synth score and a lot of very stagnant emotional scenes where people just stare into the distance, I will probably watch it when I'm in that right mood. But not to lie to you, I'm in that mood right now. Gilliam LaBelle says, hey, John, have you watched Barry? Great show. I have not, but I did meet the Fonz in person, which was even more glorious. And Gilliam is here in the chat over here saying, Keaton looks fantastic for 70. He really does. He aged very appropriately. And the weird thing about Michael Keaton, he's always looked 45 years old. Now he just looks 68 years old. But that took 40 years to happen. Marcus Ev says, Shazam 2 was made to have in the background. Shazam 2... I wouldn't even say it was made to have in the background. Because when I think of a background movie, I think of something like fun and energetic and something that makes me feel something occasionally when I look up at the screen. But Shazam 2 just feels like people in front of a green screen doing things. So I don't know. I wouldn't even go that far. Seth Hall says, I watched Cocaine Bear last night. So disappointing. I wanted a dumb movie to laugh at. I maybe laughed twice. Yeah, it's one of those weird concepts. I don't know how it got made, and it should have been an hour and 12-minute movie. And it the joke got old. The concept grew old within like 20 minutes, and then it dragged out because it needed an actual runtime that was a theatrical release, and the concept could have been told in 7 minutes. But they focused on all these secondary characters, and they were all really odd and boring. And to me, Cocaine Bear was like the definition of, like, that should have just been a movie of the week for Netflix. But, hey, it got made. Jay Flick says, when is the last time you watched Point Break and T2? I watched T2 probably a few months ago and Point Break around the same time. Whenever I watch a certain genre movie that came out around a certain time period, it always reinvigorates my need to watch other movies in that same time period that fit that genre. So if I watch an early 90s action movie, I'm going to watch like 3 more 1990s action movies. That's just the weird way I am. Or if I watch like a disaster movie, okay, I have to watch another disaster movie. It's sort of like you got to get it out of your system. Louis Berry says, rating for Guardians Volume 3. Oh, I'd probably go 3. I'd probably go 4 out of 5 stars, 4.5 out of 5 stars. It definitely was not a perfect movie, but I think everything that mattered, as far as characters and story, the focal point of what the movie, the core of the movie, I think all of that mattered. I mean, sure, they had some secondary characters, and, what's his name? Adam, Adam Warhammer, whatever his stupid name is, Gold Guy. He was pretty boring, and his character his logic was made up as it went, and he seemed just very convenient. But other than that, I thought it was pretty decent. The next one comes from... It's going to come from somebody. I just got to find it here. Here we go. Kirk Holiak. Is it Holiak? Anyway, Kirk, I'm sorry I butchered your last name, but here it goes, man. Here it goes. Double whammy of questions. Who do you think should be the lead in Tarantino's movie Critic, and what do you think happened to the TV show he had planned? Also, great way to end my 20th birthday. Thanks. Well, happy 20th birthday to you, man. I hope it was glorious, and I would even say I hope it was magical and mystical, and you got to eat some cake and blow out your candles. But anyway, Kirk, here it goes, man. I would say for the movie Critic, I'm not sure. I could see someone like... I could see Leonardo DiCaprio playing the lead role. I know Tarantino loves him. I could see him playing the lead role. I would buy it. And as far as his TV show, I think it's still in the works, isn't it? Isn't Tarantino still working on his TV show that was planned? I thought it was supposed to come out like next year or something like that. I remember him mentioning it on a podcast. So I thought it was still coming out. But the fact that Tarantino's last movie is called The Critic, or The Movie Critic or whatever, I think that's brilliant. I think that's going to be a message towards film criticism, basically shitting on it. And I'm okay with that. I don't even take offense to it. I welcome it. I look forward to it. Because to be honest with you, at the end of the day, the term critic to me sounds pretentious, and I would just like to be a guy. You know what I am? I'm a movie enthusiast. Okay, I'm a movie enthusiast, and this isn't a movie channel. This isn't a movie review channel. The Flick Pick isn't a movie review channel, okay? It's a lifestyle channel that just happens to be about movies, okay? That's how I like to describe myself, but I'm looking forward to it. And by the way, let's see. The next one comes from, sorry, waiting for the chat to catch up here. Here we go. Night King 01. How's it going, man? John, I have to ask, did you finish watching The Bounty? I have not. Not yet, man. I have not. The thing is, it was on Tubi TV, and Tubi TV completely sucks, okay? Does anyone else use Tubi TV? And now, it's free, right? So we can only complain so much. It's free, okay? But it should be, because here's why. When you watch a movie on Tubi TV, after the first ad break, during the last quarter of the ad break, it always pauses and then doesn't do anything. And then you go back, and then it wants you to restart the movie. Does anyone else have that issue? I don't know. So I haven't got around to finishing it. I will at some point. And also, you go on to say, also, John, I started reading the books Master and Commander was based on. It's pretty much the same, which is good. Yeah, I've heard isn't there like 17 books in that series that Master and Commander is based on? I've heard there's some good stuff along the way, and I would have given anything to have a sequel to Master and Commander. Oh, just the adventures they could have went on, the stories they could have told. Ugh. But now we get movies like Fast and Furious 10. You know, that's what we get. That's what society wants. That's what we need. I think we've really peaked as a society, everyone. I think we have peaked, and we can only go downward from here. That's it. We've hit the ceiling. We hit it a long time ago, right? All right. The next one comes from Mickey C. Did you see Spider-Man 2 gameplay? I saw some screenshots. Do you care? No, not really. Also, did you ever play the PS1? I did play the PS1 as growing up. I enjoyed Twisted Metal quite a bit. That was like my favorite go-to game on that console. Spider-Man game, which Doc Ock bonded with Carnage. Good times. Yeah, man. I was more of an N64 kid. I got into PlayStation 2. I had a PlayStation 3. But that's as far as I evolved. And then I was always more of an Xbox guy, to be honest with you. So, sorry. Max Nugenbauer says Fast X was really good, though it ended unfinished in a way, not the right way. It's still better than the last one. Yeah, everything after Fast and Furious 5 to me just progressively got worse and worse and more convoluted to the point where on Fast and Furious 9, I watched the first 17 minutes of the movie, and there was this really terrible backstory with Dom Toretto's. I already knew the backstory of his father dying at a racetrack, and then him losing his temper, and then beating some guy up with a pipe wrench or whatever. And there was this like backstory, and I was like, I don't care about this. Like, aren't we beyond this? So I made it 17 minutes into Fast and Furious 9. But I will say Fast 10 was more entertaining in the fact that I could get through the movie. Though it was one of the worst theater experiences I've had in a very long time, just because of the people behind me. And that's, whatever. I don't even want to go into that because thinking about it just makes me want to just give myself a lobotomy so I can forget about it. But yeah, the newest one was fine. It's a piece of junk. It really is. It's a piece of junk movie. It's everything wrong with cinema, but I get it. I get that you can just surrender yourself to it and just allow it to happen. And that's fine. I completely get it. It's the most heightened version of every nonsensical thing that could ever happen. And at this point, I don't know if they're in on the joke or if they're slightly aware of what they're doing. I don't think Vin Diesel is aware of it. I think his ego is what drives these movies to the point where he thinks this is like quality cinema. But anyway, at one point he was actually bulletproof, which was funny. And then he flipped over a car with one hand. Anyway, and I think the saving grace of Fast X was probably Jason Momoa, who seemed like a flamboyant B-rate version of Joker on steroids. And there's nothing wrong with everything I just said. Like, there are scenes in Fast X where it just opens up with him galloping into the scene going, hey! like you can just tell he was having fun with it. And that's exactly what this movie needed. Like, you have Vin Diesel over there being all serious, just saying the same 3 lines over and over. Yeah, no, but what we got is cause, gasoline, and family. And, and that's fine. And then you have Jason Momoa just frolicking around in the background, and that was beautiful. And I enjoyed that quite a bit. There was a few times where it was almost unintentionally funny. It would just cut to him going, "Ee!" He seemed like a villain that would be in the 1960s Batman TV series. That's what he reminded me of. And like I said, that's what the Fast and Furious needs more of. Anyway, Elliot Cecil says, John, if you like noir, I recommend Devil in a Blue Dress. I've heard of that. It has a younger and cool badass Denzel Washington. Yeah, I'll look into it, man. I was going to try to do my Denzel Washington impression, but I'm still working on it. Blair Person, Blair Person, is it Person? That sounds right. Philip Seymour Hoffman, MI3 impression, please. No, I can't. I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna hurt her bad. For the next question. Lewis Berry says, rating for Fast X and The Little Mermaid 2023. Fast X is a tough one to rate. Would I recommend watching it as long as you're taking psychotropic hallucinogens? Maybe. Could it be entertaining in that sense? Yes. Little Mermaid to me, and hear me out for a second before I talk about Little Mermaid. I've never put the animated Little Mermaid on a pedestal. It's never been one of my favorite animated movies. And in many ways, I've always thought it was sort of a bit flawed in the sense that I never once, even in the animated version of it, bought Prince Eric and Ariel's chemistry. And that's sort of the same issue I have in the live action version. I just don't buy their chemistry I just like I don't get what these two people like about each other. I don't get it. He seems like a creepy dude who's literally socially blind to every situation that he's put into, and he's so hyper focused and has tunnel vision that how could he actually care about anyone else? And she has such a bad form of ADD where she can't focus on anything longer than 2 seconds, and so it's just like these two people that are super unlikable, and then they end up together. So good for them, I guess. I just don't care. So that's what I'm saying. I've just never cared about Ariel and Prince Eric. I think that's the truth. I've just never cared about them since the animated movie. Like, I like Aladdin. Prince Jasmine, she's kind of cool. I care about other Disney characters for a reason. There's quality and traits. But when it comes to Prince Eric and Ariel, I just don't give a shit about them as people. They're actually two unlikable people. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Stay in the sea. Stay in your mansion. Whatever. You guys both live in kingdoms. Oh, I feel so sad for both of you. So anyway, yeah, I don't care. What was the question? Oh, my rating. Sorry. So anyway, I would give Little Mermaid maybe like, I don't know, 2.5 out of 5, which I think is like mediocre. And then I would give Fast and Furious probably the same score. Actually, I'd give them both the same scores. They're what they should be, but yeah, I just don't care what they are. The one thing about Little Mermaid for me, though, when it comes to live action Disney remake, and on a positive note, I think it's one of the better remakes, or one of the better adaptations, personally. And I think some of the characters they did get very right, like Ursula. I really don't have any complaints. Some of the singing was good. I think Ariel, the lady who played Ariel, I think she sounded the part and could sing the part. And also, anytime you have a movie that takes place under the sea, it's just visually interesting to look at. To me, that's just fun visually to look at. Like, there's flounder and tentacles and water, and, that to me is fun. At least it's not boring to look at. So, yeah, those are my positives for The Little Mermaid. The next one comes from Dustin Rich. When you and your friend followed the guy who showed you a deer's butthole, how did you know he wouldn't tie you up and carve out your holes? So let me give you guys a little background on what we're talking about here so it doesn't sound completely insane, but it's all true. So on the side of the road one day, this is probably 2005, 2006, and this is when I was shooting Jackass wannabe videos. I saw a huge dead buck on the side of the road. Huge. This thing was massive. And it was just like, I got out to like record it with a camera for some odd reason because I thought it was so outrageous. And when we pulled over, literally 2 seconds later, some dude in a pickup truck wearing a camo hat jumps out and he says, "Hey, are you guys going to take this?" And I'm like, "No, we are not going to take it. But are you?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm going to take it." I was like, "Okay, where are you going to take it? What are you going to do with it?" He's like, I'm going to carve it up and take the meat or whatever. So anyway, I was like, "Can I record you do this?" And he's like, "Sure." So he drove across the street into a field, took the dead deer out of the back of his truck, and then started like carving it up and processing it or whatever, gutting it, I guess you could say. So he definitely looked the part. He seemed like a nice enough guy that would pick up dead meat on the side of the road and eat it, but yeah, good question. How did I know he wouldn't kill us? I don't know. That was just a risk I was willing to take that day, I guess. That was half the excitement. The next, all right, the next one comes from, who is it coming from here? Come on, software, go quicker. Give me a second. I'm trying to update it. Here we go. David says, "Still missed my Streamlabs question from the last show." Did I, David? All right, let's find David's question here. I'm going to find you, David. I'm going to find you, and I'm going to kill you. David, I can only go so far back right now. Can you, in the normal chat, David, tell me what your last question was, or give me a new question in the normal chat in the next, 1 minute David, and I will answer it. I'll look out for it over here, man. Let me know what that new question is. I'm sorry, man. Just on the last live show, we had some technical issues and some stuff wasn't showing up. So I was doing my best in the start of this one to make it up to you. But I am so sorry, David. I'm going to punish myself immediately following this live show, I assure you. I'm going to take the coldest shower of my life to punish myself for you, David. It's going to feel like 1,000 knives stabbing me. And that's for you, David. That's the sacrifice I'm willing to make. John, do you watch AEW? I've been to a show. I keep up with it a little bit, but I don't actually watch it. MKF30 says, hey, John, did you see the new Mortal Kombat 1 trailer? The new Mortal Kombat 1 trailer? No. What is this all about? What's happening in the new Mortal Kombat 1 trailer? Oh, the new game where they're sort of rebooting the franchise. I've heard about it. I have not seen the new trailer. I haven't been into Mortal Kombat games in a long time. Huge fan of the arcade games. I like the originals. I love Mortal Kombat Ultimate. I even got into like the some of the last Mortal Kombat game I really got into is probably like one from 2010. If that's any indication, but I have not seen the new one. Or the new trailer, at least. The next one comes from Max Nugenbauer. Oh my God, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was so freaking good. It was a good movie, man. It was everything it should be. It felt like a theater-worthy movie. And that's something we have not gotten that often in a long time, especially from Marvel. And David, if you're still here, man, I'm waiting for your normal question over there in the chat, man. I'm keeping a lookout for it if you want to type it. Okay, the next one comes from... Oh, who's this from here? Okay, The Movie Raider. Cool name. And thanks for the very generous super chat. Here it goes. John, what are your thoughts on the alternate opening showing Jake Sully's life on Earth in the extended edition of Avatar 1? Would you want to see a movie more on Earth in the next Avatar film? So, I actually enjoy that aspect of the first Avatar film. I actually think... I understand why they cut it. They just wanted to jump into the good stuff, and it opens up with a spaceship floating through space, getting close to Pandora with a couple flashbacks. And I almost think you could have done the same thing with just more extended flashbacks on Earth, which I don't remember exactly how they laid it out in the extended cut. But anyway, I enjoyed looking at Earth in the first Avatar film because everyone's wearing like masks because the air is so polluted and so toxic, which weren't we just in that predicament for a couple years ago? And it shows how populated it is, and he's just living in this crappy, shitty little studio apartment. And I enjoyed those aspects. I wish we had more of that because it justified his reasoning why he hates Earth so much. And I'm getting to that point right now. If I could go to Pandora and, transcend my soul, my consciousness into a 9-foot-tall blue alien, I probably would do it right now. Please, give me a reason, give me a way to do it, and I will. That's the point where I'm at in life. But anyway, I did like it. So as far as that goes, I've heard the finale to the Avatar franchise, we have, 2 more movies to get to it, will actually conclude on Earth. So I don't know the biggest details of it. I couldn't tell you. I've heard it. My theory is, at some point, they're sort of building towards it right now, where they're going to essentially transport all of Earth, or most of it, or maybe the elitists of Earth, the people who have the money, to Pandora to sort of start a new Earth on Pandora, which would be the ultimate negative thing you would want if you lived on Pandora, because I just enjoy nature and my trees and my clean water, and now we have all the scum of Earth coming here to pollute it and ruin it and turn it into another Earth. So I get it. So I have no clue what the finale of the final Avatar will be, but I've heard it takes place on Earth, and I would assume, and I read this somewhere, that when the producers read James Cameron's script, they just went, oh my God, like, whoa, that's completely crazy as shit. So I don't know if like Earth blows up or something in the last Avatar film. I could just see James Cameron doing that. Like just blowing up Earth and that's it. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. John, any new 4Ks lately? Yes, I actually have something really cool to show you guys, and I might whip it out here in a second. It's not what you think. Don't get weird. Don't get weird. So yeah, I'm going to show you guys some new pickups in just 1 second. I was going to share it on Instagram. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, but I'll go grab it in just 1 second once I catch up on some of these questions. Gilliam LaBelle says, rewatched Batman 89 and Batman Returns in preparation for The Flash. I forgot how good Returns really is. Love Keaton and Pfeiffer's chemistry. Absolutely, man. That movie just, you could say it's not made for kids, but for me, it's because that movie was so adult that it refined my taste in films as a child, right? That's when little kids could watch movies that had like a little bit of violence and sex appeal to them that pushed the limits. And you didn't grow up to be a crazy person. Well, maybe in my case, I slightly did, but you grew up to appreciate the finer things in life. You were well-rounded. You weren't just eating regurgitated baby food as a kid. You know, you realized, oh, wow, this actually has some grit to it. And this is how people talk. And it just, so for me, yeah, Batman Returns, man, that was, even as a kid, I was like, wow, I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed Batman Returns more than original Batman 89. Just, that's a personal preference. I know. I think subjectively speaking, or maybe even objectively speaking in some regards, it's not, I don't think it's technically a better movie than 89 Batman, but for me, it's just my personal favorite, you know? I just love young Max Shrek's... I like Max Shrek's son in the film. Dad, go, save yourself. Dad, go, save yourself. Dad, go. I just... What is that? But, hey, and you forgot to mention Danny DeVito's Penguin. That is the most underrated villain of all times. No one else could capture that like DeVito did. No one else could encapsulate the Penguin the same way he did. And that's when you know it was a good interpretation of the character. I mean, he was a little deranged carnival freak who wanted to kidnap or murder children. I mean, you can't become more sinister than that. You just can't. I'm going to play this city like a harp from hell. Anyway, the next one comes from Cody Gill. What setting or time period should be in more movies? I enjoy ancient time periods like ancient Rome, for example. I mean, we have things like Gladiator, but anything like that. Or if we could go to maybe Revolutionary era time period, the 1700s would be interesting to me. I mean, really any time period, there was some fascinating event. Or we could go back to the medieval period, and you could have castles and knights and plagues. And like, I think that would be an interesting time period to go back to. Just watching how humanity lived at different points throughout the centuries just is truly intriguing. And if you want some inside information to me, sometimes late at night, I get this weird fascination about things like that. And I'm like, what was life like in 1492, for example? And I look it up and I'm like, what did houses look like? How did people, cook and clean and dress? It's just, so anything like that would be fascinating to me. Just give it a good story, make that the backdrop. I don't care what it is. So anything with a time period I'm into. All right, we got one here from Jason Brighton Batch. Well, thanks, Jason, for the very generous super chat, man, and thank you for that. But here it goes. Here's the question. Hey, John, what did you think of Evil Dead Rise? I thought it was well done. Also watched Air last night about Nike and MJ. That's a great watch as well. Thoughts? Keep up the great videos. Well, thanks for that, Jason. So, As far as Evil Dead Rise goes, I think it's a fine movie. I think you watch it, you're entertained, you're in, you're out. But there wasn't much to, I guess, hold on to after watching it. Like, there wasn't the scene in the movie where I go, oh yeah, that scene in that movie, like, I'm going to remember that for a long time to come. It didn't have any of those things for me. Now, I understand originally Evil Dead Rise was made just to stream on HBO Max. And I think it's a quality movie. If it was definitely a streaming movie, hey, they did a pretty good job for what they had. And it wasn't a huge budget. Also, the thing I noticed most about it was clearly Australian and New Zealand actors because they could not hide their accents. Just the way they were saying each other's names at times. I'm like, did anyone sort of like, was there anyone on set to tell them how to have an American accent? Because it didn't seem like there was. Everyone like, hey Danny, come here. Like, no, it's Danny. That's how Americans say Danny. It's not Danny. So things like that stuck out to me. But I think on a technical standpoint, it was a fine movie. It just didn't really resonate with me at all. I liked Air quite a bit. I love movies based on true stories about the creation or selling something and formulating an idea or a product or a service and how it came to be. I always think that's fascinating. I think Air was done very well, though it feels like it sort of glossed over and heightened a lot of the different points along the way of the creation of the shoe. I actually would have liked if they focused more on some of the details of like creating the shoe. And they did have a scene or two in there, but I'm weird like that. I know general audiences just give me a story that moves quick. I get it. But for me, I would have liked if they spent like 30 minutes about the process of making the shoe itself. So overall, I think it's an easy watch for sure, though. I like Matt Damon in it. Can't go wrong there. All right, the next one comes from Gus Babington. Would you rather be kissed on the lips by Stallone or Schwarzenegger? Either way, they call you later and take you to dinner. I'm going with Arnold in that one all day, man. Arnold, if he just wants to pin me down and just bench press me, whatever, curl me like some dumbbells, whatever he wants to do, I'm fine. That's fine by me. Do it now. Don't just look at it, eat it. Night King 01 says, John, is it weird that I find movies like Blood Diamond rewatchable? No, because you're preaching to the choir here, man. Blood Diamond, I haven't seen the film Blood Diamond probably, I would say, the better part of 15 times easily. I don't know why. I've always just enjoyed it. I love Leonardo DiCaprio's character in that, and I like flawed characters. Like Leonardo DiCaprio's character in that film, he's a mercenary. He's also a diamond smuggler, but he sort of has a heart of gold deep down underneath. But I like that he's good at what he does. Like he's a self-efficient dude who can get the job done, and he just kicks some ass. And I liked the camaraderie between him and I can't remember the actor Hazu. Why can I not remember his name? Anyway, I like that team up where they team up for different interest. I like the story of it. And then you have Jennifer Connelly and the background of like Africa. It's beautiful to look at. It's very scenic in the story. And that's a violent movie at times. So I really enjoy Blood Diamond. If you guys haven't seen it, that's definitely an underrated movie. Okay, the next one comes from Ethan. We got one here from Ethan. Ethan saying I missed his question. Now, if you guys tell me I missed your question, I know it's my fault, and I'll take full responsibility. But at the same time, if you could just type out what the question was after the question, that would make life easy, and then I could answer it. Ethan, I'm scrolling here, man. Let me try to find your question here. Let's look for Ethan's question, everyone. Ethan, your question is not here, Ethan. Did you ask it today? There's no questions from Ethan on here. I'm not seeing it, Ethan. I'm not seeing it. You sure it went through, man? Because it did, and I'm blind. Oh, no, man. Wait, no, you did ask a question, Ethan. I haven't gotten to it, dude. We're still playing. Right now, we are 34 minutes behind on questions. You guys are killing it with the questions, and I do thank you for that. Just know I'm trying to give you guys good answers because you deserve it. That's like the least I can do for you is give you really good, sufficient answers. So yeah, I'm just behind on the. I got your question right here, man. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So it's all right, man. Hey guys, go grab some popcorn, something cold to drink. Just sit back. I'll do all the work. Don't worry. All right. Here it goes. Taylor Goodwin says Fast X was better than the last couple to me. Yeah, absolutely. Far more entertaining. In the last couple of Fast and Furious movies, just the villains were stupid and boring, and I didn't care about them. Ray Caprio Video says, "Hey John, what is one of your top SNL skits?" I live in a van down by the river. Chris Farley as the whatever the life coach guy was in a van down by the river. That was great. I always enjoyed that and Wayne's World. I'd say those were a couple of my favorite skits. Lewis Berry says, rating for Guardians of Volume 3. I think I said that already. I said like a 4.5. Carter Lovejoy, how's it going? Once again, Carter, man. Carter is always asking, John, live stream today. John, live stream today. John, live stream today. Today is the day, Carter. Today is the day. You inspired me, Carter. But here it goes, man. Carter Lovejoy says, I got a new projector coming in soon. Not 4K, but it supports it. Gonna be doing some outdoor movies this summer with my family and neighbors. Any good movie recommendations for outdoor screenings? That's a great question because me and the lady friend were actually looking into an inflatable outdoor screen for our projector just to hang out outside in the summertime and put some lawn chairs out there, maybe have a fire. I don't know, but to watch the movies outside. So a few that I was thinking were definitely something like Jaws, or Jurassic Park would be sort of a good summertime nighttime vibe movie. Just something big and epic, but not too heavy. You know, you want a little bit of levity in the movie. And I think one great summertime movie to watch outside on your projector around 4th of July is Independence Day. Huh? I gotta call my doctor. I gotta call my lawyer. Forget my lawyer. So anyway, that would be one I would go for, man. And thanks for the question. Elliot Cecil says, looking forward to The Killer from David Fincher. I am looking forward to that. Give it to me now. Pour it into my veins. Also, they have the new Martin Scorsese movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Summers of a Flower Moon. Is that the title? It's something like that. I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm looking forward to the Barbie movie, okay? The next one comes from Ethan H. White. Here's the question, Ethan. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? Get ready to accept what I'm going to give you. And here it goes, man. Hey, John, just watched The Rock from 1996 for the 20th time. Only 20 times? You're never going to go home and fuck the prom queen. Here it goes. Has there ever been a more fun movie made? Damn, I miss Sean Connery, Cage is God. That's true. The Rock was the pinnacle of mid-90s action. That was the height of what Michael Bay could do and do very well. Because it was almost like he was self-aware of his limitations with movies like The Rock. And it was fine. It was great. And you know what I think it is? I don't think the movie The Rock would have been as great without charismatic actors like Cage and Connery. Like, I could not imagine any other two actors teaming up with the same chemistry that they had. So yeah, to me, The Rock is one of the most quintessential action movies ever made, especially of the 90s. But yeah, it just goes for it, man. Just goes for it. There's a guy out there with his finger on a button. But how in the name of Zeus's butthole did you get out of your cell, John? Trade secrets, my son. You know, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Anyway, Dustin Rich says, you promised in a cowboy hat and denim jacket that you were going to watch Neon Demon with your girlfriend. Are you a man of your word, John? I am a man of my word, but what I didn't say is when and how. So eventually I will. You want me to put the cowboy hat on? But thanks for the question, Dustin. I will watch it at some point, man. With the cowboy hat on, wearing my denim jacket that does, in fact, smell like a dead body. Will H says, John, I watched The Departed again recently, and every time I'm always reminded why it's in my top 5, waiting for the day it comes out on 4K. Thoughts on the movie, and do you own the Blu-ray? Of course I own the Blu-ray of Departed, and give me that shit on 4K right now, and I'll watch it tomorrow. As far as The Departed goes, yeah, definitely one of the best remakes ever made. And just a great story. I mean, the thing is, it's just, the casting is perfect. Like, you, and going back to casting charismatic actors for character roles, could you imagine anyone else in that role other than Jack Nicholson? Could you imagine anyone else playing Matt Damon's role? Now, originally, I believe Mark Wahlberg wanted to play Matt Damon's role, and he was upset that he didn't get it, but then Scorsese said, okay, but we have this role for you. So that's why he played the character he did in that movie. So yeah, man, I love The Departed. Definitely one of my favorite Scorsese movies. And one of his most rewatchable, too. And the ending. Phenomenal ending. Perfect. The next one comes from Jason Nelson. What's your favorite gangster movie? Untouchables? I like The Untouchables, but definitely not one of my favorite gangster movies. For me, I've always enjoyed Casino, as we talk about Scorsese movies. It's got to have Joe Pesci in it. It really does. Motherfucker. I love me some Casino. Yeah, I'll go with Casino. I'm sure there's probably a better gangster movie in there. I'm sure somebody would say The Godfather, but I'm going to go with Casino. Still going to go with Casino. Sharon Stone in that movie. Gosh. Here it goes. Stoner Sunshine says, any future plans for your channel? You only do lives every other week and our first reaction. No movie review videos anymore. Flick trip video is coming soon. Really, yeah, to be honest with you, I think I was just hitting a midlife crisis, trying to find myself again, trying to find my happy place. And just honestly, there's been a few other things I've been focusing on in life a little bit more. Some just other things I'm looking into, other career opportunities and paths I've sort of been focusing on of late. And those have been very time consuming, to be honest with you. So no, I do want to get on a routine and a schedule and start pumping out more reviews and making the live streams more of a weekly thing. And doing the reaction videos and all that stuff. It's just, I look at YouTube nowadays, and I look at the younger creators on YouTube, which is a weird thing to say. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm very aware that I'm not 73 years old. I do know that. But it's almost a rat race anymore. It's such a rat race to just make a video that's forgotten about the next day. And it's I don't know. It's sort of like it's a little bit depressing in a weird way. It's just every bit of movie news that comes out, there's 8,000 videos about that movie news within 12 seconds. And by the time I formulate something, and I think I blame myself for being an overthinker. If I had to analyze the reason why I overthink a lot of things. But by the time I formulate what I want to say and something unique, rather than just copy and paste and read what some news article said, and then I say that in my YouTube video like 99% of people do, to come up with a unique original opinion, it just, by the time I formulate that, by the next day, no one cares anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, I'll give you an example. Fast X came out a week ago, right? There's 8,000 reviews about it. Some people went and saw the movie, but no one's talking about it. No one's referencing that movie. No one ever says, oh, you know what one of my favorite action scenes is? They never say something from Fast and Furious. So it's just one of those things that it just, the ecosystem and content online just moves so quick. It's just, man, it's just like nothing matters. So if nothing matters, why make the video? So I don't know. You know what it is? I like interacting with you guys. I do like talking about movies. So that's why I like doing the live stream. So if for anything else, I would do more of this, right? So, I mean, we've already talked about 78 movies thus far in one live stream. So I don't know. Did I answer your question? Do I have more plans? Yes. It's just, I've been hyper focusing on other things lately, and I've sort of, I guess I put YouTube on the back burner momentarily. Not forever. I assure you, I don't want to stop doing this. I don't. Because every time I do something fun on YouTube, I'm like, I want to do more of that. So that's really the issue of late. Just keeping it real with you. The next one comes from, and thanks for the question, man. Thank you for that. Night King 01 says, hot take, The Departed is way overrated. Okay, let's continue on with this question here. The movie is based on a far superior in themes are presented. Its themes are presented better. Also, Master and Commander question. The film is based on the 10th book, but Paul Bettany and Russell Crowe's characters are in all of them. I know Paul Bettany and Russell Crowe's character are in them. Also, doesn't the young kid who gets his arm cut off, doesn't he grow up to be an adult character in one of the later novels? Anyway, I think they just picked a starting point that was fun and easily relatable without too much origin story. I think that's what they're doing with the movie. You know what? I have not seen the original Departed in a long time. I remember watching it in like a film class in college or something, and I think the remake's better. I really do. The 50% Doctor Who podcast says, just rewatched Back to the Future trilogy. Loved it, but why does 17-year-old Marty McFly hang out with 50-year-old Doc Emmett Brown? Well, that's a great question. And I'll tell you this for me, when I was a younger kid, I always hung out with my grandfather, right? Who was in fact a 70-year-old man. And then we'd always go places and hang out with his older friends. And to be honest with you, I always found the conversations by older gentlemen far more interesting than the shit like my friends were talking about. Like they were just talking about life and they had knowledge, and I respected that knowledge. So maybe Marty is just bored with kids that he hangs out with. Yeah, they're just, he doesn't want to talk about whatever they're talking about. He wants to talk, like if it were you, right? You're some dude in high school, you have some douchebag friends who want to watch MTV or look at TikTok videos, or this kooky old guy who has a time machine or giant speakers and plutonium in his workshop. Who would you want to hang out with? I think I just answered my own question. I don't know. Who knows? You know what it is? Maybe Doc Brown put out a posting, hey, looking for some help to mow my grass. And then he hired Marty one day. And then they struck up a conversation. And then they just became friends. I don't know. That would be an interesting backstory. I would like to know. But the mystery, maybe we can keep it a mystery. That's fine too. I don't know. I had a theory. I was going to say maybe there's a theory that goes into the future but relates to the past, but then we're getting crazy. Justin Cordero says, dude, all I know is I really need to see The Flash. Thoughts on the new Transformers coming out? The new Transformers coming out looks instantly disposable to me. That just looks like a movie that you're going to watch and not remember a week after you see it. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not. It's not that I mean, do I want to see a really good Transformers movie? Absolutely. Do I think this is going to be it? Probably not. Doc Brown was grooming Marty. Come on, man. But maybe he was. Anyway. Marty! Take off your pants! Okay. No. Don't do that. Let's not do that. Yeah, I want to see the Flash movie too, man. It just seems like it's taken forever to come out. Optimistic Forever says, sup, John? Which N64 game would be great to adapt into a movie with a solid story? P.S. I challenge you for a few races in Mario Kart 8. I would beat your ass at Mario Kart 8. Oh, God, let me think of it like an N64 game that I loved. I don't know, man. I can't even think of one that could be. I'm trying to think of a great N64 game. There's some I love, but I'm trying to think of one that would translate well to a movie. Excite Bike 64. It's a movie about dirt bike racing. No, that's not a good one. Let's see. Best. How about Banjo-Kazooie? That could be a kind of a cool movie. Banjo-Kazooie? Is that okay with everybody? Can we do that? Let's see. You got Perfect Dark. That could work. Ooh, you know what? Star Fox 64. I think Now, I think they have plans to make a Star Fox movie with the success of the Mario Bros. Movie. I could be wrong, but Star Fox could be cool. Imagine a wave race movie. How boring would that be? Banjo-Kazooie. I would probably go with Banjo-Kazooie. I think that'd be kind of cool. I'm going Banjo-Kazooie. Give me that. That's what I want to see. Or Turok. Ooh, that could work too. So there's a few. How about that? Trying to think of something really stupid here I could say. Let's see. Let's see what else we have here. No, I think that covered it. Yeah, give me Banjo-Kazooie. That's the movie I want to see. All right, the next one comes from Chris R. How's it going, Chris R? Hey, John. Chris R. Is that the name of a character in The Room? Chris R? Anyway, hey, John. Did you like having the Flick Cave in an office building? What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of having the Flick Cave in an office building? Well, let me tell you a few of the disadvantages. I would have to scream to make my videos. You guys know how I talk. I get a little bit weird and loud every once in a while and say some weird, crazy stuff. But when the office beside you is a lawyer and the other one is an accounting firm, they get bothered by such things. So that was a negative. Also, you had to walk in past the receptionist, and it was just weird. So I found myself always going there late at night, and it was just a weird location. I needed more privacy. Some of the advantages were sometimes driving to the office building, you felt like a normal member of society. And then when I was there, I wouldn't procrastinate. I'd get my work done. I'd edit it and get out of there, right? Because I didn't have any distractions. And that's the worst detriment about a home office. There's just so many distractions. So I would say that's a few. But I can tell you, they were happy to see me go. Niking01 says, were you impressed by Alan Richson's muscle definition in Fast X? Yeah, is that the big blonde dude who plays what's his name in the Amazon series? Is that him? Yeah, that dude's huge. That is a monster amongst men. Yeah, I think he should be in more action movies. Definitely impressive. Anyway, yeah, he's the blonde guy. Yeah. Anyway, does this make you want to watch Reacher now? That's the show I was thinking of. No, it doesn't make me want to watch Reacher. It just makes me think he should be cast in more action roles. Apparently, he's going to be bigger in season 2. Bigger? Jesus, man. Dude's going to pop if he gets any bigger. All right, the next one comes from Micah Claiborne. Not a question, just wanted to let you know I used my BAT credit card to pay for this super chat. Never leave the cave without it. Absolutely not, and thank you for that. I just gave you get 5 flick points for that purchase, so thank you for that. You can get 5 flick points or 2 bat nipples. Which one would you like? Will H says, John, I agree on the visual style you wish they went with on The Little Mermaid. It's not a good look for a Disney film. Horror movies like Pearl are much more rich and bright colors are better to look at. Absolutely. If you just cranked up the saturation of The Little Mermaid by like 5%, I think it would be a better looking movie. It just looks flat. It has this weird flat look to it. And it shouldn't look that way. It's not how a children's live action Little Mermaid movie should look. You know, it almost should look like a Michael Bay movie, just all saturated and contrasty. It should look like what James Cameron did with Avatar 2. There's a lot of water in that movie, and it looked beautiful and bright and vibrant. Okay, let's make the Little Mermaid movie look like that, if ever it made sense. But they just desaturate it, make it look flat as we can. It's almost like they didn't color grade it. Mickey C says, was Alan Richson in blackface and Fast X so tan? I don't think so. Which character are we talking about right now? Boy Wonder says favorite fighting games. I'd go with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. If you want to go arcade, I like the Tekken games. I remember for like a week I really enjoyed Killer Instinct, but it just was not good as Mortal Kombat was always my ultimate fighting game. Bo Cylinder says, just finished Breaking Bad for the 7th time. While I haven't watched a single episode of Game of Thrones, should I? I've heard the ending is really bad. No, man. Yeah, the last season sort of sucks, yes. But it's still epic in tone. And those other seasons leading up to it are just glorious and beautiful and awesome and just everything you want from a series that just keeps delivering. So definitely go watch Game of Thrones, man. It's still to this day my favorite series ever made. And yes, the last season sort of sucks, yes. But it still has 7 other pretty good seasons. And I would say 4 great seasons. Elliot Cecil says, give me the meat and give it to me raw. I don't even know what that... Oh, are we talking about food? Did I mention a meat reference earlier? Maybe I did. Marcus F. says, what are some directors' visual styles you love? I like me some Tarantino. I like the visual style of Tarantino. I like the way his movies look. I like the way they're shot. It depends on... Some directors have certain movies I enjoy more than others. You know, like, for example, I could almost say I enjoyed the look of Prometheus at times as far as a sci-fi movie goes, but I don't really enjoy the movie itself. Another director I like is Scorsese. I like the majority of the way most of his movies look. I like that. Like, I go to Taxi Driver, and it has that very noir look to it, you know, and it has shots that just stay for a minute. You know, it's not all crazy and over the top. It's, I don't like shaky cam. That's for sure. I like handheld camera work, but where it looks actually like the handheld camera operators trying to keep a steady shot and not just move it to make it look stylistic. So it really depends. You know, I'll tell you something I don't like the look of, and that's like most modern day Marvel movies are overly stylized movies. I think those just become dated instantly. I don't think they stand the test of time. Like, you could look at something like 300, for example, right? So overly stylized. And it was cool when it came out, but man, it sort of like, in a weird way, kind of tarnishes the rewatchability to that movie ever so slightly to me. I don't know. But sometimes less is more, you know? Like, sometimes Nolan does shots that I love. Then he does shots where I hate. So, like, when you see people fighting in a Nolan movie, I'm like, I don't like this. But there's other sequences where I'm like, ooh, this is great and perfect, and he did exactly what he should here. The next one comes from... You know what? I'll give you a perfect example. I like the way Nightcrawler looks. You know, it looks like it's using real light and not artificial lights all over the place. There you go. I like something that looks worldly or realistic slightly. But then again, you know, I like Terminator T2. I like the blue cold steel look of it. It just looks perfect. All right, sorry, I'm rambling on now. Let's get back to the point. Night King 01 says, John, have you seen Manhunter? I have seen Manhunter. Yes, we talked about that on the last live show, I think. It's been a while. But no, Red Dragon is superior. Yeah, Brian Cox is Hannibal Lecter. I'm sorry. When you watch Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, just chewing up the scenery to perfection, and then you go to Brian Cox, you're just like, yeah, not the same. Also, the score in Manhunter, Chef's Kiss, just listen to Graham's theme. I will go back and listen to it just for you, man. I did go back and listen to the score of Conan the Barbarian just for you, so why not this? Jose Sanchez says, The Little Mermaid was so bad, made me eat AS. I'll show my French flipper trick. Anyway, Shut Up Cat Production says, Sup, happy Monday. Are you going to do that worst list? Worst of the year? I don't know. Has the time passed? Maybe on the next one. I don't know, man. I haven't even thought about it again. Stephanie Myers says, Hey, John, if you were in a movie fighting an epic battle with the villain, what would your battle song be? Thank you. Probably something by Bryan Adams or Sammy Hagar. Probably Winner Takes All, Loser Takes the Fall from the classic movie Over the Top from the 1980s. That might do it. That might be it. You know what? Realistically, I definitely want something by Zimmer in there. But if I had to pick like a metal song, I'd probably go with like Master of Puppets by Metallica. That's the theme song I would use. And it just ends with an epic uppercut. But thank you for the question. And fire comes pouring out of my pupils. Mika Claiborne says, you can only pick one for the rest of your life. Sour Patch Kids or energy drinks. Honestly, I probably go through more energy drinks than I do Sour Patch Kids. Just because, like, liquid, you can drink them. They're slightly hydrating. And my teeth won't rot out of my head. So, probably go with the energy drinks, to be honest with you. Because you can buy Sour Patch flavored energy drinks. So, anyway, there you go. Lee B. Film says, favorite Coppola film, thoughts on Megalopolis? I don't think I've seen it. Favorite Coppola film? It's not the Godfather films. Let's see. Ooh, maybe Apocalypse Now. You know what? I'm going to go with let me see. Let's see. Maybe Apocalypse Now. I might have to go with that. Oh, yeah. Cool. I forgot Coppola directed Jack. Oh, he also directed the Outsiders. You know what? I think I enjoyed the Outsiders for rewatchability, but Apocalypse Now is damn good. But I sort of enjoy Jack too, man. Jack is depressing. You know what? I'm going to go with the Outsiders. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Outsiders for Coppola. What about you guys? All right, here we go. Jose Sanchez back again, man, with another very generous super chat. So here goes Jose. I re-edit movies into new stories with music and VFX and etc. I remade the Power Rangers into a dark, gritty, realistic take like Man of Steel. And now I'm making a Heat sequel edit. Ooh, interesting. And making more if you ever are down to see it. Can you DM me a link, man, where I can watch some of this? DM me a link of what you're doing, man, on Twitter. Please do. I'd like to see some of that shit. Give it to me. Sounds cool. And thanks for the question. I'm curious to see what that Heat sequel is. I mean, there's tons of footage I guess you can grab to fill in the gaps, but... All right, the next one comes from Fidel Reyes. Fast X is more expensive than Avatar 2. That's insanity. Is it? They spent more on Fast X? Really? Someone needs to drop Vin Diesel on a deserted island. Why? He would just drive across the ocean in his car. Didn't you know he can do anything as long as he has a car? Jason Brighton Batch. I always feel like I'm saying your name wrong, but here it goes, Jason. Hey, John. Did I already answer this? I answered this question already. Sorry. Fidel Reyes says, James Cameron is writing a new Terminator movie. I've heard that. At one point, he said he was done, and now he's writing a new Terminator movie. I think there were some legality issues going on, and he was sort of just waiting for the rights to free up or something. And now he's like, okay, these movies were so bad. How can you tarnish this franchise? Let me correct the way. And I thank him for that. Anyway, here it goes. He's writing a new Terminator movie, which means the story will probably be good, but the dialogue will be ass. But the thing is with Terminator movies, like the dialogue works from James Cameron in those movies. Anyway, some of Cameron's dialogue is a bit too much like George Lucas for my taste. Yes, it's very sophomoric, or not even sophomoric. It's very, it only supports the visuals. Like Jake Sully's, like one of his lines in the first Avatar was, on Earth, all they like is, on Earth, people like Bud Light and blue jeans. Like, it's just like he's talking the stereotypical way of this character. There's like no real substance or character traits that make him stand out beyond just like bullet points of what he is as a character. So yeah, I that's my interpretation of the way James Cameron writes for people. Clark Ingleton says, thoughts on AI? I'd boycott any movie. AI is getting terrifying. It scares me to my core. It really does. Just some of the stuff it's doing now is taking away so many creative jobs. And like right now on Photoshop, they released a new AI tool where you can just make a selection and type in your prompts and fill in whatever you want it to. And it's pretty good. And it's only going to get better. And if you go to like ChatGPT, you can type in the most detailed prompts you want, and it gives you a pretty like sufficient response. And it scares me to my core. It just scares me that all these untalented people can now take these jobs, and it's going to get to a point where it's going to diminish so many trades to the point where they're meaningless. I don't think it's going to be a good thing. I really don't. I don't think it's a good thing. I wish it would stop. I said 5 years ago, if technology just stopped in like 2016, we're cool. Just stop. We're good. We got everything we need. We got fast internet. We got cars. We got phones. We got FaceTime. We're good. We don't need any more. It's not, I don't think it's helping society. It's really not. I think it's getting worse. I think it makes people worse. So anyway, yeah, AI terrifies me. It really does. And I want it to stop. I think we're good. Just pull the kill switch now, because it's only going to get worse. Anyway, let's get back to your question, because Skynet is listening. Anyway, yeah, art should be made by humans with emotions. Absolutely. It should. I agree. Potato Buns says, quick, rewatch the Point Break remake for the rest of your life, or have sexy time with the Pigeon Lady on a hot, humid summer night. I will watch. You can literally, let's pull a Clockwork Orange. We'll just keep my eyes open for the rest of my life as I watch the Point Break remake. That's fine. I would much rather do that than ever have to be in the same room as the Pigeon Lady. Okay? There you are. Why in the world is Leo afraid that his file is erased? Wait, okay. Sorry, I jumped the gun on there. I'm going to get to that question. Dan says, hi, John. I'm typing this from inside your closet. Don't get scared now. Can we be friends? Absolutely, but only if you come out of the closet. Nothing? Okay. Night King 01 says, Mark Wahlberg's character in The Departed makes absolutely no sense. There is no such character in the original film. So, why doesn't... Okay, let's see why it doesn't make sense, though. Why in the world is Leo afraid that his file is erased by Matt Damon if Mark Wahlberg can just say that he is a cop and everything is fine? Yeah, you're right. Yes, and you would also think in that predicament, there would be a few other things that would prove things. Like, there would be a few other forms of proof other than just two guys in a department. Like, I get that his file was backed up somewhere, but it just seems like there would be another alternative backup plan. somebody somewhere would know about. I don't know. Gosh golly gee whiz. Maybe we could look at the security cam footage of the police department where Leo goes in and out of every time where he's talking about this agreement. It's just something seems like the logical answer to this. But I agree. Maybe a slight plot point. Will H says, John, fun fact, on the Departed casting, Mel Gibson was first approached to play Alec Baldwin's character, but had to decline due to film schedules for Apocalypto. Yeah, I could see that. I could see Mel Gibson being in that role. I really could. RZA was also supported by Anthony Anderson's character, but also had to decline. Interesting facts. Billy M says, my girlfriend is a ho-ho-ho. I love her. Am I stupid? Yes, man. Yes. Don't go chasing dynamite, man. It's going to blow up in your face. Murph says, what do you want your serial killer nickname to be? Let's see. I don't know. Johnny the Ripper. I don't know. Let's just go to the next question. I had another one, but I'm not even going to say it. You're going to read it in the headlines one day. All right. The next one comes from Will H. And by the way, if you guys are YouTube members, feel free to chime in now. I'm trying to get to all the YouTube members' questions too. I don't want to forget about you guys. Oh my God. How am I this far behind on questions? Come on, John, talk faster. Will H says, John, by the way, I recently went to Walmart amongst the unwashed masses. The store always reminds me of your old Walmart trips during the magical, mystical hours of 3 a.m. I forgot to stop and smell the bike tires, though. Well, there's always next time. Yeah, I'll tell you what. The reality and the world that we live in today, it's just not for me anymore. It's really just not for me. It used to be at one point. I remember a great, glorious time in society where there was such a thing as customer service, but there was also a time where there were places open 24 hours a day, such as a facility called Walmart, where you could go buy commercial goods, and that was great. At any point in the day, you could go into Walmart, do whatever you wanted, walk around, and it was a great escape. And now that shit closes at 11 o'clock. Actually, I think 10 o'clock in most places. And ever since then, I've just not been the same. I'm just not. I'm not the same person. And the reason I think I made so many videos that were crazy and off the wall in Walmart was because I had that freedom. I had that option. And most importantly, I had that right where I could go into a Walmart at 4 o'clock in the morning when I was bored and had insomnia. Now I don't have that. The only thing I can do now is walk circles in my house. So anyway, yeah. Back to the questions. Sean Leary Music says, yay, just got home from work and saw you live. Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks for joining in, man. Nice to see you here. Ethan H. White says, thoughts on Tropic Thunder? I like it. I've seen it a couple times. Let's be honest. Robert Downey Jr. is the only dude that could ever get away with such things. I'm a dude playing another dude who's another dude. Anyway, a comedic masterclass. Oh, yeah, and we go on to talk about the Robert Downey Jr. Yes. Only he could get away with such things. Night King 01 says, I never understood the ending to The Other Departed or the original. Why does he go to the rooftop to meet Matt Damon instead of just going to the cops with the evidence? We needed a climax. Brett A says, protein, calories, carbs, how much to build muscle? I mean, carbs are the negative one there, okay? Don't worry about calories as long as they're sufficient and hyper-focus on your protein. Carbs should always be the lowest if you want to build muscle with the least amount of fat. There's charts online. Typically, you want 2 grams of protein per every pound of body weight, or is it 1 gram of protein per every pound of body weight? Or is it 2? I don't remember the mathematical equations to these things. I think it was 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weighed 200 pounds, it was 200 grams of protein, which sometimes was a struggle. And that's why I used to chug like protein shakes and pour vanilla protein powder in my my oatmeal. So I think that was the key. But really, man, just get in the gym, start lifting some shit. Try not to eat greasy fast food. It'll work itself out in the end. Night King 01 says, John Allen Richson said on his Instagram he has 255 pounds of lean muscle for season 2. That dude's only 255 pounds? He looks like he weighs 350 pounds. Maybe he must have like legs like me, like little skinny bird legs or something. I did notice he covers them up with pants, so who knows. He also says he's natural. This man is definitely heavily medicated. He might have a doctor's prescription for TRT. Who knows? Movies for Life says, last live show you said you would read your top 10 worst movies from last year. Still going to do it? I did not make that list, so maybe on the next one, man. Maybe on the next one. I'll try to remember to do that. Here, let me write it down. Hang on. Let's take a note. This is what we do. Okay, took a note. I'll try to do it on the next one. And by the way, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live show here in about 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any great, juicy questions, get them in. And typically, when I say 5 to 10 minutes, it's usually 20 to 30. So it's okay. Don't think you have to leave. Lee B. Film says, favorite Coppola film, thoughts on... Oh, we already answered that one. Jose Sanchez, we already answered that question earlier. I thank you for that once again, Jose. Very generous of you tonight, man. Sean Larry Music back again says, just rewatched Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition and liked it so much more this time around. What's a movie you've changed your mind on? Oh, I know I've changed my mind. I know there's some movies where I originally did not love them and I grew to appreciate them. Oh, God, I know I had a few good ones and my brain cannot find them. Ooh. Okay, the first time I saw the film Drive, I did not love it. There's something about it I was intrigued by, but upon rewatch, I really did enjoy it more. What's another movie I didn't love the first time? Oh, that's a great question. I know there's something I hated the first time I watched it, and it did not click with me until later. Oh God, please. I can, it's driving me crazy. I think I made a list one day specifically for a question like this, and I cannot remember it. We'll go with Drive for now, but there's a handful of other ones that it's just certain movies when you're not in the mood to watch them, you don't accept them for what they are, and then you grow to appreciate them later. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite movies, Nightcrawler. Watched it the first time, really enjoyed it, but it was upon a rewatch every time after that, I enjoyed it. But that's not a great answer to that question because I still liked it the first time I watched it. Man, let me think on this for a little bit. Oh, God. All right, let's keep going here. Libby Film says, energy drink / film recommendations. I was drinking, this is a ghost energy drink, but I was drinking the, I think they're called Yerba energy drinks. You can buy them at Costco. They taste like natural and they're pretty good. They don't taste all chemically induced. Also, the Zoa energy drinks were pretty good. I like natural energy drinks that don't taste all gross and overly flavored nowadays. I like ones you can, like if you're outside, you can chug it and it still tastes refreshing, but has caffeine in it. Did you watch Beau's Afraid? Not yet. Oh, here's a movie. Here's a great, here's an answer to your question. It just reminded me of that. There Will Be Blood. First time I watched it, I was like, I just don't care about this. And then I watched it again And I was like, what's wrong with me? I love this. So There Will Be Blood is the best answer I think I can give you. Film recommendations. I've been saying it for a while. I think if you haven't seen Master Commander, go watch that. If you haven't seen Apocalypto, go watch that. Shut Up Cat Production says, about Before, I think your reviews stand out because of you. Yeah, I think that's the thing about any movie review. Nowadays, unless I'm entertained by the person giving it, they can be saying whatever they want. I just don't care. And it's sort of the same way I feel about most movies nowadays. Like, no matter what lines of dialogue are written on that script or that screenplay, unless they're being delivered by a likable or charismatic actor, it means nothing to me. But thank you for that. I'll take the compliment. John, how are you? How often do you do live streams now? It seems like I'm doing one every 10 days but I want to start doing 2 a week. Would 2 live streams a week feel good to you guys? Is that what you want, or would you get tired of looking at me? What I would like to do is 1 live stream a week where I talk about all the topical bullshit that I want to talk about. And then the next live stream would be the whatever live stream. This late night chill hangout live stream. Any workout vids coming? My version of working out lately has been weed whacking my yard and power washing my house. I have not been to the gym, and I'll tell you why, as I get off on a weird tangent once again. Rather than go to the gym and work out and burn calories there, I've just found other productive things to do around the house, like yard work, where you get a workout, you're out in the sun, you're drinking caffeinated beverages, and digging holes in the yard, So to me, that's sort of what I've been focusing on more. But I'll get to the gym eventually. As far as like a video goes, just give me time to get back into it, man. And maybe I'll start vlogging a little bit more. I did buy a better camera to vlog with, so the phone just... I don't like recording videos with my phone. I just don't. They don't look good. Once you take it from the phone onto the PC, it just doesn't, it's all juddery and it looks junky and it's too much hassle. I don't know. That's where I'm at. The next one comes from The Frank Knight Rises. Great name, man. Are you watching Barry HBO? The finale was fire. I haven't watched Barry. Maybe that'll be a series I get into at some point. Right now I'm watching the Jared Fogle documentary, which is kind of gross. Sean Larry Music says, I feel like Andrew Garfield is super underrated. Speaking of actors who elevate the material. Yeah, he's a good actor. I've never had complaints with Andrew Garfield. I've liked him. I've always thought he was any movie he's in, he's always been one of the better things about it. And back to someone's question earlier about the director's cut of Batman v Superman. I have a review about that. I think it made the movie slightly better, but I still think it's bogged down in terrible subplots that just kill the pacing of the movie. Anyway. Will H says, I hear you on the 24 hours of freedom in Walmart. My 24-hour fitness closes at 8 p.m. on weekends. Well, that's a blatant lie. The name is a blatant lie. Anyway, since reopening from COVID, might as well be called 14-hour fitness. Absolutely, man. I know Planet Fitness is still open 24 hours a day. I've almost considered going back to Planet Fitness. I know. They have magenta workout equipment, and it's sort of depressing to go in there. But you know what? The fact that they're open 24 hours a day, I don't know. I kind of get bored sometimes late at night. Maybe I need to join Planet Fitness, man. Optimistic Forever says, Night, John, can't wait for the podcast episode on Patreon. Thank you. Yeah, man. I look forward to making it. We're going to record it very soon. So yeah, if you guys are Patreon members or YouTube members, we will record the exclusive podcast for you guys very soon. Jose Sanchez back again. How's it going once again, man? Wait, I had another question. You skip it. Is it new? You had another question. What? Jose, where is this question at? I think I've gotten to all your questions. I talked about the Little Mermaid question, man. Was there another question you had? I'll try to look for it here in a second. All right, here we go. Nope, that's not it. All right, I'll try to find it, man. All right, type it in the normal chat over here. Oh, here goes. Here's Sean Larry music. I still don't love Batman v Superman, to clarify, but Affleck is a great Batman. Okay, fair enough. Sorry, looking for the questions here. All right. Shut Up Cat Productions says, can you grow your hair long? It would, if you could be an animal. What? Can you grow your hair long if you could be a animal? What does that even mean? What does that even imply? I actually just got a haircut the other day. Could I grow my hair long? I don't know what that means. I get weird with long hair. As soon as it touches my ear, I get weird and fidgety. I don't like it. Sony Chavez says, your live streams help me with my anxiety, so I really appreciate you being you, Sour Patch Kids man. Well, thanks for that, man. And you know what? In a weird way, they're also cathartic and therapeutic for me. To release all this tension and anger and all these thoughts bubbling up in my head, you guys give me an excuse to let this stuff all pour out, because if I don't, it'll start leaking out of my ears at night. So, yeah, I don't want to change my pillowcases. Why do that when I can make a live show? So thanks, man. Thanks for listening. I'm glad that people listen to this and appreciate it. It really does. It is humbling, honestly, when I make these 2-hour tangents and I'm like, oh, someone actually listens to this. I'm like, I appreciate that. Because it's something I would listen to and go, man, I'm glad this weird fucking dude made this. I get it. And I appreciate that some of you do as well. So thank you guys. Dark Room Reviews says nothing, but that sounds creepy. Shut Up Cat Production says you'd look like Theo Vaughn with a mullet. Probably, I could see that. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, I go back in time, only one choice, Blockbuster, Best Buy, or Walmart, or D Hollywood Video. Only meet one, Michael J. Fox or Sylvester Stallone. I'd probably honestly rather meet Sylvester Stallone. If I could only go back in time, would I go to a Blockbuster or Walmart? Oh man, I would love to go back to a Blockbuster, like a 1995 Blockbuster. I would just smell it. I would just walk in. I would take jars with me, literally empty pickle jars, and I would just suck up all the air and seal it tight and take it back with me. And just smell it. Oh, God. That'd be glorious. So anyway, I hope that answered your question, man. All right, the next one comes from Joey Sanchez. I thought I got to all your questions, man. I don't want to miss your question. I answered 2 of them. Joey, or let's see. We got Joey here. Okay. Jose says, yeah, Jose, I answered your question about the films. And then I answered your previous question. Was there another question, Jose, that I missed? I will scroll back and double check. That or it didn't pop up. I will double check. Jose Sanchez, here we go. Oh, yeah. No, I didn't see it. Okay. What are your thoughts on Alita Battle Angel? Listen. Originally, James Cameron, I believe, wanted to direct that movie years and years ago, and then he got too obsessed with Avatar movies, and he didn't direct it. And it's fine. It's okay. It sort of feels like a movie that should have come out in the early 2000s. Just something about the story and the vibe of it. And by the end of the movie, she had like that little that she had that head of that guy. She was there was like a little head talking. I don't know. It was an okay experience. It's just not one I would ever go back and revisit. And the weird thing is I did buy it on 4K because I was like, oh, this is sort of like a popcorn movie. But I've just never had the urge to watch it again. So I know people like Alita Battle Angel. It had some good ideas. It kind of reminded me of like a 1995 movie in a weird way, if that makes any sense. But I wasn't that into it. It didn't really connect with me. Jose, can you just tell me your previous question, man? I think I answered all of them. I do not see another one. You asked 2 of those questions, right? Okay, anyway. The next one comes from... I'll look for it again, man. If I missed it, I will find it and definitely talk about it. The next one comes from... it's going to come from somebody here. Here we go. Wild Hog 84. Perfect timing. I'm in Pittsburgh from London and catching a live stream almost the same time. Had my first Walmart trip today as a cultural experience. Yeah, Walmart is... You'll never get the taint of Walmart off of you. So I hope you enjoyed your experience, man. Now go into a Best Buy. That's your next experience. Or like an American Mall. Like an outdated, half-empty American Mall. That'll be a great experience for you. The next one comes from Mr. K.W. Jones. What's your honest opinion about films today and why they're not as good as older films? Everything is very forgettable, but I still have memories of films I watched as a kid only once. Utah, give me 2. Give me 2, Utah. I'm so hungry I could eat the ass end out of a dead rhino. Oh. The sex got clean, the air got dirty. I think something goes back to films in the 80s and 90s, just for example. They had stories to tell. They had charismatic characters to deliver these lines of dialogue. They weren't trying to cater to everyone and be this watered down, instantly forgettable thing that's trying to appease everyone. They also had flavor and style. Look at some of your favorite movies. Just look at the way they look visually and stylistic. I'm sure there's something that stands out, right? In comparison to modern day movies, for example. They almost had this timelessness about them. Like, you truly feel immersed into that experience when you watch some of your favorite older films. They just encapsulate everything that they should and do it to perfection. They're not trying to make a modern day political message. They're almost timeless in a sense. And that's the problem with most modern day movies. They're not timeless. And I've also come to this weird conclusion about movies, or at least lackluster movies. In my opinion, the best films are always told by the greatest liars. Because what is a movie? It's a fictional story, right? And what makes a great lie? A great liar. Someone who covers all the details. Someone who doesn't just get from point A to point B without explaining everything along the way. And when you question a really good liar, they always have a reason for why. And they back it up with another lie. So that's what makes really good fiction. And I just think nowadays, most screenwriters are not good liars. I just think they're bad at it. So whenever you can't come with a creative lie, well, you have a generic screenplay. That's what you're getting 90% of the time. Just generic stuff, and things happen for the sake of happening, but you don't really understand why you got there, and you don't believe anyone's motivations. Did I even answer the questions? I don't know. So, yeah, I hope it answers the question, Mr. K.W. Jones. By the way, guys, I'm not missing your questions. Just give me a few minutes to answer them. Unless I in fact missed your question, then please remind me. Have you seen Chinatown? Yes. I enjoy I enjoy Chinatown. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite Nicholson movies, but I enjoy it. Very well made. I like the look of it. Shut Up Cat Production says it has 2 questions in one. Oh, what animal would you be? Okay. If I could be any animal, I'd probably be a shark. That are a flamingo. Quinn Udi, are you still friends with Stuckman? I would say we're acquaintances. That's where I would go with that. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find your questions here. Okay. Quinn Udi says, could you see Jake Gyllenhaal playing Goku or Idris Elba playing Piccolo? I don't know who the fuck that is. Jake Gyllenhaal playing Goku? Probably not. That seems a little odd to me. That would almost be comedic. I sure hope that I get to see a live-action Dragon Ball Z adaptation before I die. Yeah, I don't think Gyllenhaal would play Goku. I don't know if that's the right casting choice. Every film is woke these days. It does seem like everyone's catering to someone else. Do I think Tupac would have been a great actor? I think he was a good actor for the movies he was in. MKF30 says, what's better to you, John, Target or Walmart for electronics and food? Target doesn't really have a big selection of either of those things, so I'd probably go to Walmart. But then again, I don't like buying any produce or fruit or like meats from Walmart. I won't, if it comes in a box or a can, I'll buy it at Walmart. But I like to get my actual like meats and produce and things along those lines from like a grocery store. The meat at Walmart just always looks gray to me. Sean Larry Music says, there's still good movies now, but it feels very few and far between. Yes, it does. Well, it's just because you're bombarded with so much meaningless content in between. And quality movies with small scale stories just don't get publicity anymore. They're never going to be the next big blockbuster movie. You know, unless it has an IP attached to it, why make it? John Larry Music says, you mentioned this too, John, but color correction and desaturating everything is a huge problem now in terms of the look of modern day films. Yeah, you know, the things about older films, they had this look and this vibe that was relaxing and fun, and it just made your eyeballs dance around occasionally. And it either had this sense of comforting you or taking you to another place you wanted to go. And nowadays, everything looks gloomy and dull. It's a place that you don't want to go. So Jose Sanchez says, it's about my edits. 20D super chat. It's cool. No, man, I talked about your edits. I covered the question. I talked about it, didn't I? I said, DM me your video or your videos or your movies. I'm still looking for it, man. I'm pretty sure I answered this. I answered 2 of them. I didn't leave you hanging. I answered it. I'll keep looking. Jose, just type in the question again, man. I'll answer it. Just type it in the normal chat. I will find it for you. I promise. Wild Hog 84 says, out of all the Batman ranked the best Bruce Waynes in order. The best Bruce Waynes? I thought Affleck's Bruce Wayne felt real to me. Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne was good at times. Keaton's was kind of fun, but I'd say Affleck and Christian Bale's. Quinn Udi says, could you see... already answered that, sorry. Eric Wander says, did you get my question? Eric, I don't see your question. But I'll look for it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a quick 1 to 2 minute break. And then I'll be right back. And we're going to talk for 5 minutes. And then I might wrap up this live show. Or else I might show you some really cool pickups I got on 4K. A collection, a set of movies. Maybe I'll show you that. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. So go get a popcorn refill. Top off your beverage. You guys know how it goes. I'll be right back in just 2 minutes. And as a wise man once said, I'll be back. And we're back. You better got some popcorn or I'm going to be very upset with you. So we got a few more questions here and I'll get to them in just 1 second. I'm going to wrap up this live show though, talking about some new movie pickups, because I got to talk about these. All right. So you know what? Let's start off. We'll save this one for a minute. Here we go. Here's the first one. I got season 1 of Stallone's Tulsa King, which I've heard is pretty good. I watched the first few minutes of the episode. The biggest thing I have with this, and by the way, someone said my live shows have better color grading than most modern day movies. Yeah, see how it's not all over the top and contrasty. It's very even, but not dull looking. It's got a little warmth to it. Yeah, thank you for that. I worked very hard to get this lighting just right, and I'm glad you appreciate it. Anyway, I started watching this. The only thing I don't like about it was the way it looked. It kind of looked just not as cinematic as I was hoping. I was sort of hoping it looked more like The Sopranos, and it kind of, I don't know. That's a nitpick, I know. I'm going to watch it at some point. There's just too many shows to watch, but that's Tulsa King season 1. The next one I got on 4K was Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, and this was a surprise movie for me. This was what fantasy comedies can and should be. You know, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's adventurous. I think the comedy works. I think the action works. I thought, I forget his name. I just forgot Captain Kirk's name. I forgot his name. Oh, Chris Pine. Sorry. Chris Pine in this movie, just a beautiful man to look at. He's like fine wine. He gets better with age. But I thought the comedy was great. I think every aspect of this film was how it should have been. So I enjoyed this. I would watch this again on a rainy day eating frozen pizza. This is a good, like, carefree, fun movie. It sort of takes me back to like what 1990s movies were ever. So like it sort of has like the Mummy vibe or like the Princess Bride vibe to it. And last but certainly not least, well, depending on your opinion of the Transformers movies and Michael Bay, I have the Transformers 6 movie collection here. Look at this thing. This is epic. This is huge. Now, that's certainly not the first time I've said that, but look at this thing. You open this up, and it has all 6 steelbooks inside of it. Look at that. Just look at that glimmering under the sunlight or the LED panel. But either way. Now, my biggest problem so far, let me talk about a few negatives I have before I talk about all the negatives known as Transformers 2, 4, 5, and 6. But this is kind of cool looking, but I think they could have done more with the actual box set of this, the Transformers movies on 4K. Like, it looks like concrete gray with like the logos, the Transformers logo spray painted on it. I just think there's way more they could have done with this. It should look mechanical. It should look like a close-up of like Optimus Prime or something with all the mechanical parts on it. And it should definitely say the title on the spine. I think that's my biggest negative. Because when I put this on the shelf, here's what I'm going to see. That's what you're going to see on the shelf. I think that's a design flaw. But let's open it up. Now, all the steelbooks in here, no complaints. I think they all look as they should. So we'll go one by one real quick here. We have the first Transformers, which is by far my favorite. I think this is what it should have been. Good, fun popcorn summertime movie. Kind of cool. There's that one. And then you have Transformers 2, which might arguably be the worst. I don't know. That's debatable. But at least Megan Fox was still in the franchise at this point. Then you have that one there. Then you have the third Transformers film, which I actually didn't hate. I think this might, when it comes to the Michael Bay Transformers movies, I think 1 and 3 are my personal preferences. And I like that 3 takes place in Chicago. It's like a different scenic area. I thought it was kind of a cool setting for the movie. And then this is where the franchise just got really bad. You have Transformers 4. That's when they included the mechanical dinosaurs and Stanley Tucci just doing shit you don't care about. And then you have The Last Night. And I don't really remember much about this at all. Mark Wahlberg was there. Things happen. Stuff I don't remember. And then you have 6, which I guess technically not 6. It's Bumblebee, which Bumblebee was okay. You know what? I crapped on it earlier. I said all 6 Bumblebee was okay, but it was sort of like instantly forgettable. It sort of looks just like blah. It was a little blah to me. You know, it didn't upset me. It didn't anger me, but it also didn't really make me feel anything. So, but nice looking steelbooks. No complaints. And not much to the inside of the box there. But yeah, I just think the box itself should look cooler than this. Don't you agree? No, it should look like a mechanical thing that you open up and it just makes little sound effects like, you know, I don't know. Anyway, you guys gonna pick up the Transformers box set? I think it's cool. I like that everything is a steelbook. I think that's awesome. So, plus Transformers movies, you can crap on them all you want, but definitely are demo quality. I'm sure 4K movies to look at up on a big screen. If for nothing else. All right. It should transform the box. Yeah, maybe the box can transform into a better movie. All right. Then all right, I'm going to answer a few more questions to wrap up this live show here. And I think I said that 45 minutes ago. And by the way, Jose, yes, did you come to the realization I didn't answer your question and I didn't leave you hanging, man? Edward Nito says, and by the way, very generous super chat. Thank you, Edward. And thanks to all you guys just for looking at my stupid face. Thank you. Sup, John? I hope things are going well for you, man. I was wondering, did you think there's a difference between a celebrity and a movie star? When I hear a movie star, I think of Arnold. Well, no, yeah, a movie star is someone who can act, and a celebrity is someone who made a sex tape. You know, that's the difference to me. You know, Tom Cruise is a famous actor. Yes, he could also be perceived as a celebrity, but he's an actor. You know what I mean? Like Jake Paul is a celebrity. But I wouldn't even call him a person, so I don't know. I don't know what he is. Anyway, you get where I'm going with this. But yes, Edward, thank you for the question, man. Night King 01 says, John, do you think Eraser is an enjoyable film? I think the film is fine, though it feels like a knockoff Arnold film that was lucky enough to have Arnold in it. Yeah, Eraser is one of those very generic, disposable mid-1990s movies, and the only thing that even makes it somewhat rememberable is the fact Arnold was in it. That was it. And the one chick that was in it, I don't remember her name. What was her name? I don't remember. Anyway. Yeah, I've seen it a few times. It's always one of those movies you're like, oh, I want this to be better than it is. The opening is kind of cool, but other than that, it just falls flat. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, can you do a review of Beau is Afraid, Johnny? Once I see it, I will talk about it at some point. I'm too busy watching Little Mermaid and Fast X, man. Sean Larry Music says, this made my night. Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks for watching, man. Joel Wayne says, would you rather have an Oompa Loompa or a GIMP in your closet? Probably the Oompa Loompa, just less nasty. Marcus Ev says, Paramount 4Ks usually have terrible graphic design. I'm trying to think of some other ones that might be bad. I don't know. A lot of movies nowadays have bad designs, like physical releases. It's just like, why did you do that? But every once in a while, I'm pleasantly surprised. Lionsgate gets it right, especially with their Best Buy exclusives. I always think their stuff looks cool. It looks like what a collector would want. But yeah, I mean, I know I got this for free and for review purposes, but man, like, you gave me a concrete box for Transformers. Like the most vibrant, outlandish Michael Bay shit he's ever produced, and your box looks like this. This box, you know what it should... The movie should have come in an explosion, okay? That's what they should have come in. They should have came in a box that looks like Optimus Prime's balls. All right? Sell 1 billion of them. Anyway, I think that's a good place to wrap up the live show. Is RRR better than John Wick 4? I don't know. I haven't watched all of RRR yet. All right, the Frank Knight Rises says Guillermo del Toro plays a great pimp in Barry season 4. I can't wait to see that. I'll tell you who else plays a great pimp. Terrence Howard in Hustle and Flow. I rewatched that again last week. That's a phenomenal movie. Go watch that. That is such an underrated movie. That's a great film. Like, that's almost a near perfect movie, Hustle and Flow. Like, I like movies like that. I like urban grittiness with some like comedic elements, but they're also like a little bit of drama in there about a guy who's a pimp and having a midlife crisis, who wants to find himself and do something with his life. Ah, it's so inspiring. Was Fast X good? Not the word I would use to describe it. Was it mildly entertaining? Yes. Was it better than the last 3 Fast and Furious movies? Absolutely. It looks like Legends of the Hidden Temple, this does. Kind of, a little bit. I get what you're saying. MKF30 says, have you seen Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez and Dennis Leary? Yes. That is a perfect midnight type movie. Great underrated movie. Judgment Night, maybe I'm wrong here. God, was something being made that reminded me of Judgment Night, or the plot sounded very similar? I feel like something existed that reminded me of Judgment Night. I can't place it. But anyway, yeah, if you haven't seen Judgment Night, definitely check it out. Early 90s movie where these like suburban guys break down in their RV in like a desolate part of town, and these mobsters are pretty much after them. And it's like they're in the most desolate, abandoned city you've ever seen. A population of 2 people. It's basically like another version of Escape from New York. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the live show there. As always, I want to say thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out. And by the way, once again, if you guys want to listen to the live shows in podcast form, you can do so with the link down below. It goes to iTunes, Spotify, a few other places where I would probably never listen to a podcast, but maybe you do. But all of those links are down below. Just click it. Click on the platform you want to listen to. And if you can, give this podcast, if you are listening, give it a rating wherever you're listening to it. That would help. Or if you're watching my stupid face still, give this shit a thumbs up, because YouTube, let's just stick it to the algorithm. Don't let corporate Google tell you who and what you should watch when. No. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night. And as always, leave your thoughts, your opinions if you're watching the live show after the fact. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.